Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. I hope you had a good weekend. I spent mine enjoying my new hobby, cars. The Balisong to Car Guy pipeline must be studied. I want to take and continue the precedent from last video, talking about something that's a little bit more beginner focused, because if there's one thing that the Balisong community is very actively, obviously hungry for, it is stuff to do with beginners, things like beginner balisongs, tips for starting out, and especially tutorials. I get a lot of people asking me to do tutorials, but I don't, because I don't really enjoy doing tutorials and I think that I am bad at them. So I leave them to people who are a little bit more knowledgeable in the whole, flipping realm to do that. But while I may not be able to give you a tutorial, what I can give you is a tip, and it's a tip that I wish that I had when I started out. Muscle memory is a very powerful thing in our hobby. It's the thing that allows me to flip while I'm making these videos, while I'm actively thinking about what I want to say next and where I want to guide these videos going forward, because these videos aren't scripted. But it can also be a huge hindrance. It can be something that prevents you from learning a thing in the way that you want to learn it if you don't train it right. So what I want to do is give you a tip that I wish that I had, because it would have saved me a lot of pain, especially when I was starting out. That tip, in a nutshell, is learn how to combo early. What do I mean by that? So, a combo, in case we are really going back to basics here, a combo is stringing together two or more tricks into a string of performance. I don't know. Maybe not even two or more. Maybe it's three or more. Maybe it's four or more. I'm sure different people have different descriptions for what they consider a combo to be. But a combo at its core is stringing a bunch of tricks that you know together to make something that, in an ideal world, flows well and looks cool. The problem is, when you learn some balisong tricks, the way that they have to be taught inherently is a little more segmented. Here's an example. When you go on to Big Flips' channel, he's going to teach you the Y2K Zen thumb rollover, whatever you want to call it, in a way similar to this. You start in this position, go around the thumb, and you end in this position. And he's not wrong to teach it that way. I'm not saying that this is the wrong way to do it. But what this is going to do is really hinder you when it comes to creating variations of that trick. So when you go to learn the Zen rollover, thumb rollover, whatever you call it, obviously you're going to have to start somewhere. So it's good to start in the way that the video that you're using is showing you. Learn how to do that thing until, more likely than not, you're able to recreate that trick for yourself. But what I'm advising that you don't do is don't do what I did. Don't continuously 100% drill that same exact variation into oblivion. Because, especially the way that a lot of these tricks are taught, they're not taught with combos in mind. Starting here and ending here is not something that's very conducive to a good combo. Because in a combo, you will almost never be holding the balisong with both handles open in your hand like this, because this is how you hold the balisong. This is what happens when your combo ends. This is what you hold it like when you want to use it, when you want to cut open a box, whatever your case may be. So it's not really going to come up that often when you're actually flipping. It's the reason that a lot of combos end with aerials or short stops, because those tricks inherently put you in this position where you're ready to use the knife. You're ready to end the combo in that position. And it's kind of the same for pencil grip. This is going to come up a little bit more often in some combos. I know one of the first combos that I think most people learn is the index roll to the thumb roll. Sure, great. But basically what it's going to do is it's going to lock you into that way of thinking. If you really, really, really drill your muscle memory into this one specific way, the only way that you'll know how to do a thumb rollover is from this position. The only way that you know how to end a thumb rollover is in this position. You're not going to be able to think of any new tricks to string into that. It's going to really hinder you when you move forward. I'll give you an example that is specific to me, which is the shortstop. To this day, the most consistently that I can do a shortstop is from the close position. It works almost every time, and I'm able to just, okay, of course, the second that I mention it, I can't do it, but go from a closed, there is a really high chance that I'm going to finish that shortstop. However, because that's the way that I drilled it, that's the way that I learned it, that's where my muscle memory exists for. So when I get into a position that isn't exactly that, something like even this, that shortstop is going to be a little bit less consistent for me because I just don't have that muscle memory built up. And of course, you can build up that muscle memory by learning it that new way, but that's going to be a lot easier when you don't have your fingers fighting against your brain to catch it the way that your fingers have been told how in the past. So, the quicker into a trick that you learn different variations of it, the easier it will be to not get locked into that one way of thinking. Another benefit that this will have is your combo creativeness, let's call it. When I want to learn how to do something new in a combo, sometimes all I will do is throw a few tricks that I like. Okay, I've ended here. What do I know how to do from here? For me, probably going to be a giraffe. If I could actually consistently do a giraffe, which I guess I can't when the camera is on. But let's imagine if I only knew how to do a giraffe from this position and after throwing it. Well, then I'm not going to be able to really take advantage of that position that I found myself in earlier, like this. Find myself in this position, I might not even think about giraffe because the only way that I know how to do a giraffe is from that position, you know, where I'm throwing it up in the air. Same thing with the Zen rollover from earlier. If I only know how to do it from here, I'll completely miss the ability to even do it maybe from here, where you're going under your thumb. It's still a thumb rollover at the end of the day. Or maybe you'll miss the ability to do it from this position because you're just throwing it around your thumb. But your muscle memory is so strict on this specific position that that's all you know how to do. So the earlier that you kind of drill some different variations of the tricks that you're trying to learn, the more versatile it will be. And the more likely that you will be to think, oh, that's what I want to do when I'm, randomly in a combo. I've ended in some position. What the hell do I do from here? Well, I can go into a reverse middle finger chaplain because that would be cool, I guess. So I'm not asking you to run before you can walk. I'm not asking you to just immediately get into this thing that might not even be applicable for a while for a lot of beginners. But what I want you to do is just make it a little more difficult now to make it easier later. Don't just immediately disregard the way that the video is telling you to do it. Still learn it that way. That's still important. But once you start getting it down, once that muscle memory starts forming, switch it up a little bit, trick it a little bit, so that you're not locked into that one specific way of doing things, kind of like I am with the shortstop. Doing it from that specific way that I learned it is still the most consistent way, even that wasn't a great grab, that I can do it. But if I just spent a little time not doing that, it'd be a lot easier. I wouldn't have to go through and specifically learn the muscle memory for a new variation. I'll give you another little bonus tip free of charge in this one, because that muscle memory can really hurt you. Let's go back to the shortstop for a second, because when I first learned the shortstop, I drilled it for maybe a few hours once I had gotten it down, and then I stopped. And then I got busy, and then I didn't flip for like 3 or 4 days. And when I came back, I couldn't do the shortstop very well anymore. Never underestimate the amount of time that it's going to take to build proper muscle memory. Once muscle memory is built, you'll be able to do a trick almost automatically. Again, it's the foundation of why I'm able to do these videos, because I know these tricks so well that I can do them with my eyes closed. But don't assume just because one day you got the trick down 5 in a row that you'll be able to do it forever. Because if you leave that for too long, it'll deteriorate. Train that muscle memory up to the point where you actually will be able to keep it. You're going to have a lot better time with consistency on that trick going forward. So, to recap, this is a tip that I wish I was told early on. Don't just learn the trick the way that they show you in the video. Learn some variations. Learn how to recognize it in different forms, as it will help you when you're trying to string tricks together in the future. It'll help you massively. And it's something that I wish that I did looking back on getting into the hobby, as I almost slammed my balisong into my foot. I think Squid actually did something. I don't know if they still do this with the tutorials that they've put out lately, but I remember there was a period of time where Squid would teach you a trick and then at the end kind of show you some different variations of combos that you could put it into. And I think that's really excellent because, you know, you have to be able to show it in a way where it's a complete trick. You know, you have to start from some position that isn't like some random, oh, I'm here, and here's how you do the pinky chaplain. Like, you have to start it in a way that kind of makes sense so that you can teach it to people, it's repeatable easily, etc. But showing what's possible with it will kind of break people out of that shell a little bit and get them to be a little more creative and make it easier for them to make a new combo. And I think that that is also really, really important. So, if you're new to the hobby, don't trap yourself. Challenge yourself creatively. Think about different ways that this trick could exist, and it's going to help a lot when you get into combos later on. But don't overwhelm yourself. If you're not someone who can really focus, I know it's a lot to focus on. If you're someone who just needs to focus 100% to learn the trick, do that. And especially when you're first learning a trick, don't immediately start thinking about, oh, what can I do in different combos? Just get it down. Get it to the point where you can do it semi-reliably. You can do it more than you can't. And then start experimenting a little bit. Maybe it'll even make you more excited to kind of really nail down the trick and keep you motivated. Anyway, I think that is enough Ethan Balisong tips for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Later.